Alright, what I'm making today is fire wick or fire cord, tinder wick. There's all kinds of names for it. It's basically a cotton rope that's going to be dipped in wax. In this case, since it's summer and the bugs are starting to come out, I'm going to use citronella wax. I got one of these citronella candles from the Dollar General for $5. It's a fairly large amount of wax. You just don't want to melt it down in these because they leak a bit. I had wax starting to come out under there, so I went and got a can and switched it out. The wax is getting to where it's ready to go. It's not quite there yet, so we'll let it go. But while I'm doing this, I figured I'd set it up. This cotton rope I got at Hobby Lobby, and you can get it in different sizes. They've got 4 or 5 different sizes. I wanted a fairly large one just for grins. Larger wick, larger fire, but more fuel it contains. So you can actually use these like a candle. I pull them through a bit of tubing, copper, brass, titanium, steel, whatever you got that fits it. And that's your snuffer wick, because you can hang on to it, set it up on something, and it'll actually sit there and burn, and then you can slide it back down inside the tube and put it out. And you just wrap the cord around the tube, slide it back out, light it again. It protects the end. If you're using this as a char rope, it'll protect the coal or the ember or the piece of char material that you have on the end of this. If you pull it back into the tube and then wrap it around, this right here with the tube will make a slow match, more or less. If you put the wax on it, it'll actually, and flare this out, it'll act like a tinder wick, and it'll catch the spark and turn into flame fairly readily. And then you can go ahead and light your fire with it and then pull it out, and this will light many fires. Or like I said, it'll burn quite a long time if you need a light, an emergency light. While you're doing this, a double boiler would actually work better. I'm out over a fire, so that's what the plate's for. If your material, your wax that you're melting starts smoking, get it off the heat if possible. If not, get back, because that's a warning that it's getting ready to candle, and it'll shoot fire straight. It'll sit there and burn. I mean, it will burn very good. I've done it before, did it on purpose just for grins, just to see what it would do. But it'll shoot fire into the air pretty good. It'll solid the size of the can, and it'll sit there and burn till it's all gone. Get your cord, your cotton rope, and you shove it in there once you get enough molten, and allow it to soak up everything that it will. Oops. This is kind of warm. It's a hot day and I'm playing with fire. That's about normal. Okay, we'll let that sit and soak a second. Let that get full of wax. Okay, that should be, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Be very careful. That's getting way hot. Okay, let that drip off. Back into the can. If you're going to do this like this, be very careful, because you can burn the holy hell out of yourself without it too much of a hassle. Okay. Now we're going to hang that right there, hopefully out of the fire, until it cools off a little bit. couple of sticks. Set that down and let that cool. We'll drop some more wax in it to help it cool. You can make several of these fairly easy with just one of these. You can, these will hold a lot of wax. Granted, it's probably cheaper to get canning wax, but like I said, this was citronella and that's what I was looking for this one, just for grins. I want to try it. And it's a little bit softer of a wax, so you'll have to be careful. If you put it in your pack, if it gets really hot, it might actually get on other things. So what you're going to have to do is probably pop it in a bag or something. But your cord will be more flexible too, which is kind of a benefit. So this is what it is. It's starting to cool off already. A little bit. We'll let this sit a little longer because it's still kind of hot, but you can see it soaked up the wax really nicely. I'll come back later with and show you how it works, but it's going to have to cool off. So I'm going to hang this off somewhere out of the way of the fire and out of the sun. Alright, since we got some weather coming in, it's coming in faster than what it was supposed to. I was going to grill steaks today, later. Well, later's going to be sooner rather than later. And to start this up, it had rained on I had all this packed in, just anticipating a non-windy day where I could fire it up and do some grilling. But all my tinder and stuff, which I anticipated also, was wet. So we're going to test the fire cord that I made, the wax cord. This is a heavy cotton cord that I got at a sewing place. You can buy it. It's fairly cheap. I think I got 10 yards of it for $3 or $4. Whack off a bit of it, melt some wax, dip it in, let it soak for a minute, pull it out, you can run something down it to pull off the excess wax, or hold it over a plastic bag later and move it about so the excess wax comes off and you can save it and remelt it. You don't have to do that. Cardboard, anything like that will catch it, or you can just let it go. You know, it depends on what you want to do. Me personally, I catch it because wax is getting kind of expensive. But to make this work, sparks, anything will light this up. Even the sparks off of a Bic lighter. The only thing you have to do is take that steel end off if your lighter's dead, grind off some of the flint, or what they call the flint, the little ferro rod in there. Grind it off real slow and careful so you're not blowing sparks. Get a little bit of the material in there and spark it. And if you have this worked out fine enough, it'll catch the little fine fibers on fire, which will start the wicking action and the fire will spread. So what I'm doing here is as I stated the whole time, while I was talking, I'm sitting there working this up. You want these fibers all broke free and loose. It makes it a lot easier for the sparks to catch in it. Okay. Now this fire steel, or this fire tinder, fire cord, it'll burn quite a long time. And that, if you regulate it with the snuffer tube, it will burn hours. This is a large, with a fairly large flame. You have to watch because this will get hot, but it'll burn a long time. You can use it like a candle even, and I've done so, and it works. Like I said, you got to watch that because it'll get hot, but it'll burn long enough to get even a nasty wet fire that don't want to ignite lit, and it'll save your other resources. They're easy to make. They're fairly cheap. Some of them online that you can buy are rather expensive. Okay, we're going to ignite this. I'm using my Uberleben fire steel that I've been working on here lately. can see it's trying. There it goes. Most of the time, if you see somebody blowing fire into something like this and it goes right off, I'd be a little suspicious. Fire seals work, and they work pretty good, but a lot of times that video's been cut. It does happen rarely, but that goes to show you, don't give up. If your first strike don't work, yeah, you can always do it again. You see what I'm talking about? These leaves should be going, but you can tell they're so damp that it's not even liking it. That's what this is good for. You can get it back in there.